morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. You guys, we have a lot in here. Harry and Meghan have come out. They're complaining. I'm not kidding. They're victims again. And we have memes, and more memes. People are so freaking talented. You're going to laugh your butts off when we get to that. But we also have a lot of royal family stuff. So let's jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start with Prince William. He was in the capital's southeast to show his appreciation for British pubs and understanding more about the role they play in culture and community. So here goes William. He dropped in. Nobody knew what he was doing there. It was a total surprise, which is why Harry and Meghan were not able to overshadow it. He dropped into the Prince of Peckham's Chatty Patty initiative, which was set up by the landlord in 2017 to help combat loneliness. And there was a session there, and so attendees were there enjoying free cups of tea and a chat, and you have a lot of social events like that going on. So while William was there, after he got to the pub, he spent some time, posing for selfies with the patrons and the local residents. And then he went and got behind the bar and he pulled what they're calling a passable pint in the Regal-themed pub while he spoke about the importance of locals in bringing people together. And he threw his support behind campaigns to save Britain's pubs, which are slowly dying out in a lot of the communities across the country. William said, "I love them. I want to do as much as I can to support them and protect them because I love the community." There was one little girl there who just absolutely loved William and was hanging all over him. Of course, she's got great taste. Who wouldn't hang all over him? Now, these may not be in the correct order, but it's everything. Then Prince William visited Pecan, which is a community charity and food bank based in Peckham, South London. And what they do is they support people facing food insecurity, unemployment, and isolation. And that includes the Southwark Food Bank, where, of course, William stopped in to help pack boxes of groceries alongside the volunteers. And he also spoke with staff and clients and praised the charity's magic ingredient of care. That charity feeds about 100 households, and they fed 7,000 adults and 2,500 children in 2025. And he and Catherine made a financial donation after their warehouse was burglarized to help replenish the stolen food and hygiene supplies. I think it's pretty obvious from the pictures that came out of these women that they very much appreciated William being there. It looked like everybody was having a great time. And once again, somebody decided they were going to just hug the stuffing out of William. Can't blame him. I would have done the exact same thing. Now, when that was over, William attended a special engagement for the Diana Award, where he's earned a lot of praise for helping break down the stigma surrounding menstrual health. He held a passionate discussion about the dangers of online exposure and mental health impacts of social media on youth. He participated also in several key conversations with Young Legacy Award recipients and creators. Now, several other things happened. William had a discussion about menstrual equity, and he apparently impressed a lot of campaigners with his understanding of the topic and said, we need to normalize these conversations. And they discussed this kind of stuff at home with his family to help dismantle lingering societal shame. And also, he met with filmmaker Ella Greenwood and expressed some really deep concerns over the digital exposure faced by young people. And he was really shocked to hear how young teens viewing extreme and graphic content online. And he questioned the extent of the damage being done to youth mental health by watching that kind of stuff. So yeah, he did really good. He had a lot to do today. And again, a lot was a surprise, which is why Harry and Meghan weren't able to overshadow. Let's move on now to Queen Camilla. She explored the British Library's Fairy Tales exhibition as part of celebrations marking the National Year of Reading. Camilla is patron of the National Literacy Trust, and she ventured into what they call the deep, dark woods section of the family-friendly display, where she looked at artifacts connected to classic tales, including Little Red Riding Hood. The visit highlighted heroes and villains from beloved magical stories, and while she was there, she watched a dress-up and storytelling session designed to demonstrate how sharing narratives can reflect evolving societal values and help people connect with causes close to their hearts. And then following that, she proceeded to the library's Piazza, where she was greeted by 150 youth, community, and corporate volunteers taking part in the Big Lunch. Now, she's been the patron of the Big Lunch since 2013, and earlier this year, she joined the King at the Eden Project to launch the 2026 Big Lunch and Big Help Out campaign. There was a poet laureate on the stage who delivered a short poem celebrating the power of storytelling. Now, sticking with Camilla, she hosted a tea party and treasure hunt for children and parents, supported by Dreams and Wishes at Clarence House, which we know is where she and Charles live. This is a volunteer-run charity that is working to support children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. They have granted over 2,000 wishes since they launched in 2011. Started with a horse-drawn carriage ride. Then they were greeted by the Grenadier Guards soldiers standing at attention in their bearskin hats. Then they went in for a buffet of sweet treats that was laid out and cookies that was personalized with their names on them. Now, the children were sent out on a prince and princess themed quest to find treasure that they had been told was stolen by a wicked wizard. So the children started walking around searching for clues. Camilla held the hand of a little girl named Maria. It was adorable. And eventually they discovered these giant gold coins that were hidden in the bearskin hats of the guards. Nobody left empty-handed. Each child left with a goodie bag that had a teddy bear in it dressed as one of the Grenadier Guards, some pencils, a key ring, a large chocolate coin from the Royal Collection shop, and of course the Queen gave each child a hug and a kiss before they left. And a big thank you to Carol M. for showing us what the Queen was wearing on both of these occasions. Let's continue. Next up, let's talk about the King of Canada, because I guess he is. He had an audience with Louise Arbour. She has been appointed the Governor General of Canada, and they met at Buckingham Palace. Let's move on to Sophie and Edward. Now, we're going to go back to day 2 because during his official visit, the Duke of Edinburgh spoke to students and participants about the international award. His engagements included an event at St. Julian's School and an open day at the Porto British School in Porto. So during these visits, Edward connected directly with young people pursuing their awards. He spoke with the youth ambassadors that are preparing for their gold expeditions, which is the highest level of the award, and he assisted some students with assembling expedition tents. He met with students, staff, and alumni to discuss the importance of community volunteering, physical recreation, and acquiring practical life skills. And at St. Julian's, he watched inclusive sports activities and met with Paralympic athletes who showcased disciplines like judo and some other sports. Now, the award has operated in Portugal for decades, with over 90,000 young people participating across more than 50 schools and universities. From the older children to the younger children, everybody was interested. And of course, Edward does such a good job. Really, he does. All right, now we're going to move on to day 3. There's a lot. Once again, this may not be in the right order, but Sophie and Edward were officially presented with the keys to the city of Porto in Portugal. They received the honor from the mayor, Pedro Duarte, and again, this recognizes the 640th anniversary of the Anglo-Portuguese Treaty of Windsor. Now, handing over the keys to the city of Porto is apparently a very rare thing. Over the last 5 years, it's been awarded to a total of 9 people, including French President Emmanuel Macron. Now, Prince Edward described the gesture as a token of immense trust and a great honor for both him and Sophie. I think that's wonderful. Now, if you were thinking of this tradition closer to home, you know that Sophie and Edward frequently participate in the historic ceremony of the keys, which takes place in Edinburgh, Scotland. And that coincides whenever the monarch visits the Palace of Holyrood, right? The Lord Provost of Edinburgh presents the keys to the city to the sovereign. And in 2024, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh also inspected troops alongside French ambassadors at Buckingham Palace during a counterpart changing of the guard parade. Yeah, I think it's fabulous. I think they're doing a great job, and I love that they got this. I think they're doing wonderfully. Now, of course, before they left, they sat down, they signed the guest book. I think that's, what they do. And then they headed off to their next event. They had like 4 or 5 different things that they were doing on this day. Like I said, this was a very, very busy day, but I may not be giving it to you in the correct order. Let me just refrain that, okay? Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing that happened was they went to a wine lodge, and while they were there, they were asked to baptize a cask of port. And so Sophie goes, well, we could swim in it or we could just cradle it. She was very nervous about throwing the wine on top, but she went ahead, she threw the wine, Edward threw the wine. I think it was fabulous. Those of you who don't know, the last member of the royal family to baptize a cask at the lodge was the Duke of Kent, aged 90, who did it on his last visit. I know, right? I'm like, yeah, I'd be afraid that the wine would, that the wine would like come back on me and I'd end up covered up in alcohol. You get what I'm saying? All right. So when this was over, they left, and then it was time for the next event. Accompanied by Portuguese English author Isabel Stilwell, the two of them toured the Porto Cathedral, and they were able to walk the steps of King John of Portugal and Queen Philippa of Lancaster, who actually got married there 6 centuries ago. Remember, I told you all about them. And there were cheers, and Sophie waved. It was fabulous. Their next stop was at Casa da Musica. It's a famous concert hall where they watched a dance performance by Desporto no Barro, which is a local municipal social inclusion program that promotes healthy lifestyles for youth in disadvantaged neighborhoods. And I'm not sure what was going on out front, but Sophie she couldn't hide her giggles. I'm not sure what was happening. So it looks like they had a really good tour and the whole thing was a success. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce and to Carol M for showing us not only what Sophie was wearing, but I'm absolutely loving Edward's dinosaur tie. You know that man's got some style going on him. Oh yeah. All right. Let's go back now to King Charles. The Trust has teamed up with former England manager Sir Gareth Southgate to launch a new project to support young people who are struggling to get a job. It's a new initiative to get people back to work. And it will see 18 to 30-year-olds supported into employment through mentoring schemes, online resources, and work experience opportunities starting in 2027. So Charles and the former England manager launched the scheme as they met 20 young people who have already been supported into work by the King's Trust. And among them was one young lady, 28 years old, who said she was really grateful after she received work experience through his charity's retail program, and the King telling her how proud he was of her overcoming her struggles. And there's Mr. Cumberbatch. Oh, I love it. All right, guys, time to go into our Harry Meghan stuff. Well, with all the talk about what's going to happen with Frogmore Cottage and the fact that they're going to, re-renovate it again, fresh claims have come out from Harry and Meghan, with sources close to them saying that King Charles deliberately waited until after the Queen had died before removing them from the Windsor property. And I sat back and I went, oh my God. Okay, it was gifted to Harry and Meghan by the late Queen after their wedding. I mean, gifted to them. It's part of the Crown estate. They can never own it. They were living in it while they were working royals. They were no longer working royals, number one. That's the first thing. Number two, the Queen was not alive to see the Netflix docuseries. She wasn't alive to see The Spare, the book. And I think had she been alive to see that, I think she would have done exactly what Charles did. Everybody knows that one of the Queen's biggest weaknesses was her inability to stand up to family members who played the family card to get what they wanted. I mean, we saw that with Andrew. So yeah, she probably would not have thrown them out, but I have to tell you that she knows that the monarchy has to come first. And when you think that they were filming that Netflix docuseries while she was alive, if she had seen that, yes, I think she would have taken action. That's just my opinion. Now, it is being reported that Harry and Meghan are spitting with fury because everything that they did to the house is going to be undone. They're going to remove their custom fittings, and the house is being split back into multiple residential units. Listen, the Crown Estates manage its properties to maximize commercial income. And while the situation may seem a little absurd, the decision is motivated by commercial viability rather than an attempt to get back at Harry and Meghan. But of course, they're going to turn it into a victim thing. Of course they will. Maybe the Queen would have thrown them out when she saw these pictures where they were told not to bring these people on property to take the pictures, and they did it anyway. Yeah. All right, tell me that Meghan's not reading what we're doing. She is, because there's been a lot of scrutiny about the constant pictures, 13 or 14 pictures and videos this year of her daughter alone. And so her spokesperson has come out and said, and I'm quoting, there is a distinction between sharing moments from her life and exposing her children to public scrutiny. And that, I mean, here's the problem that I'm getting. It's not that she's exposing her children. The problem is she's monetizing her children. While she may be obscuring their faces, she's demonstrating their saying, the very principle she advocates for, giving children privacy, agency, and protection. But yet she's putting her children on her as ever site. The landing page alone has her daughter walking across the grass. So don't talk to me about it's okay to put your daughter up on social media. You're using your children to sell your products. That is not okay. Here's the problem. This is what she doesn't see. She wants to commercialize her social media, and as an adult, it just felt very hypocritical. And you got a big problem. It's the whole identity crisis, because one minute she's a savior, saving all of the children who've unfortunately lost their lives through social media, and the next minute she's a social media influencer. So who is she? I mean, do us all a favor and just don't put up any pictures of your daughter and stop using them to sell your products. That's the worst thing. Her children are not old enough to consent, even if she hides their faces. They're not old enough to consent, so she needs to stop it. You guys get where I'm going with this, right? I mean, she flew 6,000 miles to speak to a handful of people about the dangers of online children while publicly sharing her own children to sell white-labeled products and being associated with a travel sustainable initiative. It's the kind of thing that undermines credibility. And then it happened. She put out 2 pictures for her daughter's birthday. I don't know why she bothered. You can't see the daughter. It's all Harry, Meghan. And the second picture looks like it's been photoshopped. It looks like a much younger child. She's playing games, and I don't understand why. All right, let's get into the big stuff. We know that Harry went by himself for the launch of Jose Andres' book. And then the next day, Harry showed up again without his wife and the kids. They just skipped the event to go watch Nacho Figueroa's son compete in Montecito. So he's sitting there barefoot on the grass, watching the competition, looking very effeminate. Wearing a black polo shirt with the number 3 on the sleeve and some, shorts, whatever he was wearing. I think he's just staring at Nacho the whole time. And even though the kids' team was defeated on the field, he won a prize for having the best polo pony, so he lost. Now, we know that Harry and Nacho became friends in 2007 when they met at a charity polo match in England, and they have frequently collaborated on several philanthropic and media projects. And so people decided that they were going to do memes. Oh my God, here we go. So a lot of memes were done, and I want to say a big thank you. I hope I name everybody. If I skip you, I so apologize. So here we go. A big thank you to Beck, That One, Nancy Sidley, Stephanie Sidley, Uzdaya, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Uzdya, Duchess Katerina Farkle, Mike W-J, Surfing Fox, Sir Grift a Lot, Kai Lear, Dog Treats, and Special Agent AGP MI6. Last but not least, Turfs Are Us. All right, you guys, enjoy. I mean, oh my God, you guys. Put your comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which remains up for sale on Amazon, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you very much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.